So we are in the introduction of the Siddur Zichron David, and we got to the Neshama. We spoke about the Nefesh, we spoke about the Ruach, and now, finally, we got to the Neshama.
At the beginning of the Torah, it says,
ויצר השם אלוקים את האדם עפר מן האדמה, ויפח באפיו נשמת חיים, ויהי אדם לנפש חיה.
When Hashem gave men Nishmat Chaim, a high spiritual structure, it is written, Vayipach ve'apav. It means that God blew the breath of life into Adam. And it says in the Zohar that God gives his breath to Adam. And we know that whatever is in the Torah holds forever. It means that Hashem is continually breathing life into us, thus connecting us with Hashem. This is Neshama. The problem is that we are not aware of this.
Okay. So, like I said when we spoke about Ruach last week, that the Neshama is really the connection of our inner being to Hashem. Okay? And here in this little paragraph, I give a certain explanation. Obviously, it's very limited, but it's a certain explanation about what's the reason that the Neshama gives us the connection with Hashem. Right? So, simply putting, because Neshama is that part that Hashem gave Adam, right? Nishmat Chaim. And that's what is the connection, right? Between Hashem that is giving over them, and then the continuation of that is the Ruach and the Nefesh. Meaning, for us, when we are getting to meditate, so we are starting from the bottom and we are elevating up. But in the creation of Adam, it was the opposite direction. It comes from above and comes down below, right? And this is the definition of the Neshama. This is basically the highest part of our being. Even though we will see soon that we have also a part that is called Chaya and a part that is called Yechidah, but those are more surrounding light. So the parts that are really that we are more interacting with is the Nefesh Ruach Neshama. So for that matter, Neshama is the highest one, and this is the reason that I'm saying that from the Neshama we already can and should and want to connect to Hashem. Okay, so how do we do that? Mikdash practice.
Connecting to the level of the Neshama. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, relax, and start to contemplate that breath of life. This is the beginning of Jewish meditation. It is connecting us to Him by introducing our soul to us, and with it the possibility of elevating further towards Him through a process of spiritual elevation of our awareness. If a person persists in this contemplating, meditating, intending to connect with God, the divine presence gradually descends on him, and he is rewarded by Hashem, revealing to him profound secrets of the creation, even to the point of prophecy.
Right? So, what's your name?
Chaim.
Chaim. That's what you wanted when we first met, right? No, so you came exactly in the right day, right? Min Hashamayim.
That itself was a
certain prophecy. Yeah. Okay, so let's do it together. Okay, we're going to do it right here, right now. Closing our eyes. Ready? Okay, get yourself comfortable. Okay. Sit in a comfortable position. Relax. Breathe. I'm not going to do all the introduction meditation as a preparation. Just jumping into the practice of the Neshama as we read it. So while we are breathing, trying to be conscious of the fact that our breath is coming from a higher source. Besides of the physical air, it comes into the physical body. Within every breath, we are receiving light to our Neshama and from our Neshama. every time you breathe out, there's also light that goes back. It's called the returning light. It goes from us up to our Neshama, even further to Hashem. So it comes out that through the Neshama we're getting connected with the Neshama. And from the Neshama to the Neshama, then we can connect to Hashem that is blowing His breath to us. Giving sustenance and life to all of the different parts of our being. Basically, through the breathing, we want to allow ourselves to come to be conscious to the presence of Hashem. Slowly bring your consciousness back into the physical body. Slowly, slowly. And when ready, bring back the movement into the body. And then open your eyes. Okay, so that was a short practice. Highly recommended to take your time with it and let yourself have fun for a little bit longer than that, or much longer than that. There is those that are speaking about an hour meditation every day. Like I mentioned before, for me the main place for meditation is within the prayer. So whatever time that you give to your prayer, you can have the meditation there. But like I said before, that's a little bit advanced. In the beginning, usually you need time that is off the prayer, and then afterwards, when you get used to that, you get more familiar with it, so then you can combine the two together. Okay? Let's continue.
Chaya and Yechidah, Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama are the three principal components of our spiritual being. We have another two parts above the Neshama that are so elevated that it is difficult to comprehend their qualities. These are the Chaya and the Yechidah. They are not inside of us and in our spiritual awareness, but exist outside of our regular spiritual experience, and therefore are called surrounding lights.
Okay, so what is the? I'll explain a little bit those concepts, even though it is very, very profound and very, very lofty. But basically, those lights are. I'll start with the negative. What it's not, okay, to exclude. There is people that when they hear this concept of surrounding light, so they think about what it's called in the world aura. Yeah, aura. Mm-hmm. That's the way they said it. Aura. Yeah. Okay. So what is that? What is that aura? Is something that is related with the nefesh, with the lowest part. So it is the chaya nechida of the nefesh, the surrounding light of the nefesh. Okay, so like we have that example that we know that exists, and there's many people in the world that are experiencing it and seeing that, and there is even cameras that are able to capture that. So all of that, it will be a parable for us for those concepts of chaya nechida that are the real chaya nechida, that is not the nefesh, and it's not something that anyone can see or take a picture of, right? Something that is very, very high, even higher than the Neshama. Even the Neshama, for most of the people, we have no idea what really is the essence of the Neshama, right? Because as we said, it's coming from Hashem. So, and the chaya nechida is higher than the Neshama. So what is it? Very, very hard to say, but generally I can give you the few phrases from the books of the Arizal that explaining that the chaya is the private surrounding light, something that is closer to us, to our being, and the yichida is something that is much greater, that is something general surrounding light, that is surrounding not only ourselves, is something that is basically uniting all of the beings together. That yechida, yichud, to unite, right? So that's the same concept, the same word, and you can, in a certain way, you can say that it's the light of the surrounding light of the yechida is that part that we are all connected with. That in a certain way we are all equal within that, because it is so high that it is something that is, everything becomes to nullify itself to that level, to the higher level. But again, it's not something that we can really relate or do something with it. It's not really part of the meditations. But we can meditate on those concepts, even though we don't know what it is. We know that there is something like that, so we can have the intention to connect to those parts of ourselves. Right? We have part of our being is those parts, and we can meditate on that. Okay, so for example, to make a certain similarity in the physical, let's say that we take someone that he never learned that he have a heart in his body, yeah, and we tell him about his heart. It doesn't mean that he really knows what it is, right? He hears what we say, he understands that it has a certain function, but what is it? What can I do with it? I can't move it like I'm moving my hand. It's not something I can control. It's there. I know that there's something there that is doing something for me, benefiting me, right? But why is it like that? What is the purpose of that? And so on. That's part that needs more learning, right? And there is actually people that by meditation and very, very strong concentration, they are able to control their heart. There is people in India, whatever, that they are able to lower their heartbeat or increase their heartbeats by meditation. Okay, it's very, very low level of physical meditation, but there is people that's what they are focusing in their life, and they are really trying to practice that, and there is a possibility like that. Okay, so in other words, when we are becoming to be conscious that something exists, So we're already starting to have a connection with it. We're already starting to have a certain relationship with it. And slowly, if we practice dividing, putting more time, investing more time into that connection to develop that, so then we can benefit more and more from that part of ourselves. Okay, so let's read a little bit of the practice of the Chaya and Yechidah.
Mikdash practice. Reaching up to the Yechidah, to the Chaya and Yechidah. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and relax. Contemplate about the Narnachi. From the lowest to the highest. Start with the Nefesh, then go up to the Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, and Yechidah. After you reach the top, make your way back to the bottom. When you connect to your physical body again, try to feel the difference in your body sensations from the way you felt before you started. Each one of the parts of the soul dwells within a particular dimension that we call a world. In the Kabbalah, we speak about 5 worlds in ascending order: Asiya, Yetzira, Beria, Atzilut, and Adan Kadmon. And of course, it is all coming from the infinity of the Ein Sof.
Okay, so that extra paragraph, I think should not be part of the frame here. But anyhow, let's do the practice, and then we can speak about the next section, the next paragraph. Okay.
We're gonna go from the Nefesh to the Chaya.
Going from the Nefesh to the Chaya, yeah. Okay? Ready?
Relax, don't move.
So,
Control.
again, get yourself comfortable, breathe. Okay, and we're starting with connecting our consciousness to the Nefesh. How we do that? We contemplate on the sensations of the physical body. Whatever is the sensations that you feel, comfortable, not comfortable, hot, cold, whatever it is, the source of those sensations, the fact that you are able to sense your body, is coming from the Nefesh. Is the strength of the Nefesh. So from the sensations of the physical body, we bring the consciousness into the Nefesh, and we're breathing in, contemplating on the energy, the body, life force that gives sustenance to the body. And as we continue to breathe, we start to contemplate on the Ruach, which is the connection that brings the sustenance to the Nefesh. Like a pipe or a rope that we climb and with the elevation through the Ruach and with the breathing getting to the Neshama, and we can experience the Neshama as the presence that is behind our thoughts. the different thoughts that goes through our mind. The Neshama is there in the background. So we try to connect that presence and then from there we want to move on to reach to the surrounding light of the Chaya, which is in a way the source of the thoughts before they come to be. And from there we try to reach to the highest level of the Yechidah that surrounds everything, that unites everything, that includes everything. Which is really the source of our being. It is constantly connected with Hashem. Then we come down from the Yechidah back to the Chaya. Bring this high surrounding light closer to our being, into the origin of our thoughts, and we come down to the Neshama, a part of our being that is getting the nourishment from Hashem with our breathing, with Hashem's breathing. And we're coming down through the pipe of the Ruach, and bring the light and sustenance from the Neshama through the Ruach down to the Nefesh, and we let ourselves experiencing the difference in our Nefesh, before and after the meditation. Bring it down to the sensations of the physical body. And when you're ready, bring back the movement. And open your eyes. Okay. Oh Hashem. So So that is basically what we should practice. This meditation is the basic meditation that is including all of the prayer. Okay? The different parts of the prayer is related to the different parts of our being. Every time we're praying, we have to know what part of our being correspond to that same part of the prayer and meditate accordingly. Okay? So through the prayer, we're doing all of this journey that we did now in 2 minutes. So when you pray, so you have more time, you can practice it for much longer. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, as long as it takes you to pray.
Should I repeat this paragraph?
What?
Should I repeat the paragraph last?
You don't need to. So that is the being, right? Those parts is the parts of our being. Now those parts of our being are resting within location, spiritual location. Okay? When we speak about location, about space, so we are very used to physical space. But spiritual space is not the same as physical space. And this is one of the catchy parts of the learning Kabbalah, right? As I said many times, to let our mind free from the physical attachment. But we take that concept of a place, of space, from the physical, and we try to apply that into the spiritual, right? So basically, we want to make this similarity, that like we know that we are living within the world, right? Physical world. Same thing, we have spiritual worlds, right? And each one of those worlds is space that can contain those different parts of our being, right? So as we just did the meditation, we have nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yechida, right? So that's the next paragraph that is relating between those parts of being and the space that each one is located within. Okay, so we have basically 5 worlds that correspond to the 5 parts of our being, right? So when we speak about the nefesh, the nefesh is the world of asiyah. Ruach is in the world of yetzirah. The neshama is in the world of bria. The chaya is in the world of atzilut. And the chiza is related to a very high world that is called Adam Kadmon. Okay? So then here in the next section of the book, of the introduction, so we have a little bit about what is called in some Hasidic environments Siddur Ishtalshelus, the order of how the creation came to be. Okay? Now obviously you can imagine to yourself that this is a very, very big subject matter, so you can basically learn about it your whole life and stay clueless, but we don't want to stay clueless. We want to get some kind of a clue to be able to apply that within our meditations, right? So for this reason, I tried the best I could to summarize in very, very short paragraphs those very, very wide, huge concepts, and once again with the apologization for the in a certain way it's a disgrace to take something that is so huge that should be like spread within like at least one book, if not a whole set of books, and to try to squeeze it into one paragraph. It's a big audacity. So I'm sorry about it, but I really feel that there's no other way to get into that. So it's very, very limited, but take it for what it is. And Bezrat Hashem, again, those concepts are concepts that should be learned through years, okay? Through years, without any exaggeration. It's each one of those concepts is very, very big, and anyone that is learning in a yeshiva environment and knows what does it mean to learn a sugya, right? That you can learn a sugya for 1 week, few weeks, few months, and some people even can stay in one sugya for a few years. So each one of those concepts is a sugya. You can learn it for a long period of time to wrap your mind around it, and even then, even after you did this serious amount of time, even then your understanding will be very limited, because that's the definition of our understanding. Our understanding is very limited, and those concepts are not so limited like our understanding. Okay, so let's read the first one.
Summary of a few basic concepts of Kabbalah. The Ein Sof. The writings of the Arizal regarding the earliest time we can fathom in creation provides us with the origin of its manifestation. The Creator Himself is beyond any comprehension and cannot and should not be spoken about. However, what we refer to as the earliest expression of the Creator is called Ein Sof. Ein Sof means no end. We recognize this according to our scale of imagination. Anything we cannot grasp, we call Ein Sof. We see it as something that has no end, because that is the only way we can perceive it.
Okay, so again, when we say Ein Sof, we speak about Hashem Himself, even though we know that it's not Hashem Himself. Okay?
So why don't we call it equality?
We want to speak about Hashem Himself, so we are saying the words that are referring to the one thing that we can say about Hashem. Okay? We don't know what is Hashem. We don't know who is Hashem. We cannot say anything about Himself. The one thing that we are able to fathom in our mind is that Hashem have no limits, no end. Right? So that's why we say Ein Sof. So we don't say what He is, we say what He's not. Right? One thing that we can say that He's not is not an end. In the other hand, we are an end. Right? We have an end. So this is the difference between us and Hashem. Okay? What does it mean us? Which part of ourselves, or what we spoke about until now? That's a good question. But for sure, our body, that we know definitely have an end, right? And about the rest of the parts of our being, we don't really know how and when and is the end of them, if there is. Hopefully not. But it depends on what the person is doing with himself. Okay. Anyhow, that will be another class in another time. The point of the matter is that when we say the words Ein Sof, we are referring to Hashem, even though we cannot say anything about Him. Right? Sounds like contradiction. I agree, but that's the only way that we are able to say something. Okay.
Remember, all Kabbalah values are relative. Even though the word Ein Sof means infinity and is referring to the one and only Creator, however, some terms, such as high and low, are relative by definition. But even terms like the Sephirot or the world and any of the terms we use are relative to what they are being compared to. An extreme example is a term we use to refer to the Almighty, the Ein Sof, and even that is relative. We call the Keter Ein Sof, even though there is another Keter above it. We call it also Ein Sof in comparison with that which is underneath it. There are also lower levels of Keter, and in contrast to the highest one, it is considered to be almost completely dimmed.
Okay. So, we have a certain system that we use all the time in the Kabbalah, that we're making values. Okay, so in the physical, it is similar. Okay, so if I will say this person is high, what do you mean is high? High compared to something that is lower. About the same person, I can say that he's low if I compare him to something that is higher than him. Right? Very simple. So the same thing also in those concepts of the Kabbalah. Something that, for example, we learned about the Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, Yechida. Okay? So I can call the Neshama Nefesh. If I want to speak about a whole structure that is above the Neshama, I can call the Neshama Nefesh in relation to something higher, right? And also vice versa. I can call the Nefesh Neshama. If I want to speak about all of my spiritual being in one point, so I can say that my Nefesh is my Neshama. And it also will be true. Okay? So because of this terminology, many people, it's very hard for them to learn Kabbalah. Because we're using the same terms and we're speaking about other things. Okay, usually when I tell you a name of something, so you know what I'm speaking about, right? But here I'm telling you something, and really I'm using that as a broad term to speak about something else, right? And the point that I'm making here in this paragraph is that even the term Ein Sof is relative. So I can speak about the Keter of the world of Asiyah, for example, and call it Ein Sof. What do you mean Keter of Asiyah is Ein Sof? Keter of Asiyah is just the top of the world of Asiyah, but there's so much above it, right? Okay, but for me right now, it's like Ein Sof. From there onwards, it's Ein Sof. So, what's the difference? Okay, meaning every part can be called, even we can use the term of Ein Sof. Okay, and because some people they don't know that, so they see different things in the Kabbalah, in the writings of the Arizal, that they meet the term Ein Sof and they say, wow, that's what we say about the creator of the whole world? How can we say that? Okay, so what's the answer? The answer is no, we're not speaking about the absolute Almighty. We're speaking about something that is limited, but in compared to the lower world that we're speaking about, that will be considered to be Ein Sof. It's not the absolute Ein Sof. It's a certain part of the creation of the chain that we refer to as Ein Sof. And so was all the other different terms that we're using, if it's the Sfirot, if it's the worlds, if it's the Partsufim, and so on and so forth. Okay? As will be explained forward.
If a child were enclosed in a room all his life, he would think that everything outside his room is endless. When he finally goes outside, he realizes that the city does have boundaries, but he imagines that outside the city is endless. Our understanding is by definition giving the concept of the Ein Sof limitation, and the whole idea of the concept of the Ein Sof is that there is no limitation. After we get to the limit of our understanding, from there onwards, the concept of Ein Sof takes place indefinitely.
Okay? So, again, going back to our original point, original goal. What is our goal with all of that? Is to connect to Hashem. Right? Said it many times. Our goal is to connect to Hashem. So, after we understand that for us, the definition, the only definition that we can say about Hashem is Ein Sof, that He have no end. Okay? So every time we're getting to a point that for us it's the highest, according to our understanding, according to our experience, so from there onwards it will be Ein Sof. Okay? So for example, I don't know if who was here with me, but about a few months ago we did a little bit of meditations according to the teachings of Admor Piatzesna, the Rabbi Kolinus Kalman. So we saw there that he is giving a certain meditation that we are contemplating about as we are here now. There is spiritual world with the Neshamot and the angels and all kinds of magnificent things that we don't know about, and there is another whole section of even higher things that we have no idea, and there's somewhere there's Hashem, and He's looking at us, and He cares about us with all of this distance, and there is a connection, there is a relationship. Okay? So, what the Piasetzner Rebbe did in those words, he said, there is something that we know about. We know about the concept of souls. We know about concepts of angels. So even someone that he doesn't relate to the learnings of the Kabbalah, right? Anyone that is in the Torah knows that there is souls and there is angels, right? So we're using whatever it is that we know, and we say above that, from there onwards, there's Ein Sof. Okay? Obviously, it's not. We don't say that only there's Ein Sof. Ein Sof is everywhere. There's nothing that is outside of the Ein Sof, outside of Hashem. But the point is that we have always to reach with our meditation to that concept of Ein Sof. Okay? And for now, maybe it seems to you very, very obvious, but afterwards, when your head will be full of those concepts, of all of the structures, of all of the worlds, and all of the parts of Him, and all of the Sfirot, so for many people, it becomes to be something like of a certain scale, and I'm going up the scale, and then I'm going down the scale. But where is Hashem? Where is the Ein Sof? Right? We spoke about all of the Sfirot, all of the world, all of this, that, but we didn't speak about Hashem. So what does it mean? If that's what happens, we miss the purpose. Right? We spoke about everything, but we didn't speak about nothing. Because everything becomes to be nullified. Everything becomes to be not important. If you don't have Hashem in the picture, so what did you do? Why did you meditate in your meditations? Right? And it seems very obvious, but I'm telling you, it's not. Okay, it's a big issue for many people. So we'll end up with this for today. That every time you have the time to pray, meditate, do anything that is related with Kedusha, in the beginning, in the midst, and afterwards, always you have to get your mind to the concept of Ein Sof. Whatever it means to you right now, with your limited understanding, you have to remember that there is higher levels above that for you right now it's called Ein Sof. And somehow those parts, those levels are related or a manifestation of Hashem. Even though we don't understand exactly how does it work, but it's there. Okay? And as much as we are putting more, we're getting more. As much as we are meditating more and trying to put our mind and heart into those concepts, so we will receive more sweet juice, sweet honey that we will be able to taste Bezrat Hashem. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen.